welcome back to another episode of Explorers of Darkness. Last time we graduated from the guild, and, well, now we're operating on our own, and I guess we're gonna just have to find something to do. I think today we're, for the first time in a while, just back to just ordinary doing missions and just kind of random grinding, but as we can see here in this cutscene, we do actually get an extra little something now that we're in the post-game. Special service, holy shit. That's right, we can now control somebody other than Moth and Chico for once, and are we going to be doing that? Probably not, to be honest, no. Great. Pretty convenient. Again, we're probably not going to really mess around with this, but we can at least demonstrate this real quick. Some interesting things about this is, one, the obvious one is that, unlike in Rescue Team, if you've ever played that, no matter who the team members are, you'll always be controlling your player and partner in the overworld, so you can see that now PoliBo is the leader, and yet Moth and Chico are here in the lead. Second of all, something very curious about the leader swapping is that in Rescue Team, you could actually switch who is the leader during a dungeon, so you could change control in the middle of playing through a dungeon, and that feature still exists in this game, except it's just dummied out, and it's not possible to actually use that function. Which is very strange, so once you're in a dungeon, your team is just locked and set, and you can't do anything about it. Anyway, for the first time in God knows how long, the whole team is finally back together. Wonderful. And, well, now, I guess it's time to just find some missions to do, really. My god, these missions have been on the job list probably since the beginning of the game, and we still just have not done them. Honestly, at this point, no, I don't even know what's in the sealed chamber, and I don't care anymore, and let's just get rid of this one, too. Just a single grass gummy is not really worth the time, you know, being wasted. Anyway, see what else we got for dungeons, and kind of just looks like a whole bunch of nothing, to be honest. As you can see, though, we can actually return to certain dungeons now, that being Steam Cave and Crystal Crossing, and I think some of the desert dungeons. Once you clear them initially, you're not actually allowed to return to them until after you beat the game. And, well, as you can see, now we can go do that, so let's head on over to Crystal Crossing and take care of this mission. Alright, before we head off for our mission at Crystal Crossing, you may be able to see here these three mysterious goobers sitting around and talking about something interesting. See what they have to say. Zero Isle, that's right. Now, we haven't actually talked to these people throughout the playthrough, I don't think, but they appear several times as NPCs during the story in, like, the overworld maps, and you're allowed to talk to them. And they basically just vaguely hint towards some kind of special challenge dungeon, and, well, if you've played, you know where this is going. Yeah, we now have access to the 4 Zero Isle dungeons. And eventually I'd like to do them, but not anytime soon. We're not nearly ready enough. Quick rundown, Zero Isle North is a very difficult, well, first of all 4 of them are very difficult challenge dungeons, of course. First of all, Zero Isle North, all the enemies are extremely high level, and by the end of the dungeon, they scale all the way up to level 99, I believe, like 90 to 99. So you're intended to go in here with a team of your own very high level, like, stat-boosted Pokemon to get through. And it's also the longest non-level reset dungeon in the game at a whopping 75 floors, which is absolutely brutal. Next, we got Zero Isle East and West. First of all, Zero Isle East, West, and South. All 3 of these are actually level reset dungeons. When you enter, your level gets reset to 1, which is akin to, like, Shiren the Wanderer, which I still never really played. But Zero Isle East and West are basically much shorter than South. They're both 40 floors, and you're allowed to bring in 4 Pokemon to each one of them. And as well as Zero Isle East, you're actually allowed to bring in 2 pages worth of items, which means they're basically sort of like practice kind of warm-up level reset dungeons to help you understand the mechanics of them and the gameplay of them. And then, of course, Zero Isle South is the main event. It's the 99 floor level reset dungeon, longest dungeon in the entire game, and by far the most challenging, where you go in with only a single Pokemon, their level gets reset to 1, all of their moves get reset to whatever they would have at level 1, and you basically just have to make it through and try your best to survive. And in theory, we could start tackling this right now. There's absolutely nothing stopping us from trying to level resets immediately, but no, we'll get to these some other time. I'd like to have better Pokemon ready for them, so we will ignore those for now. And one more thing, as you saw last time, now that we have Luminous Spring unlocked, we have access to evolution, and I know just the perfect Pokemon for us to evolve. Of course, Moth and Chico are not able to evolve right now, which is a bit unfortunate, but we do actually have someone on the team who is ready to evolve. That's right. It's finally time for PoliBo to grow the fuck up. Bam. Holy shit. He finally has arms. And legs. Well, you know, he already kind of had legs. He had feet before. And for some reason, if you evolve a Pokemon who's currently on the team, it just kicks everybody off to the team, which is a bit odd, so let's just quickly put everybody back in there. That Poliwrath portrait is pretty... I'm sorry, Poliwhirl, that portrait is pretty goofy looking, if you ask me. Sooner or later, I'd like to do more evolving. I know evolving is a very contentious subject for some players. Some people just swear against, you know, evolving any of their Pokemon, which is all their heart and soul. And evolution is strange in this game. It is very... Unlike in mainline, it is not nearly necessary. I don't remember the exact bonuses you get. I believe when you evolve, no matter what, you will get a plus 10 max HP and then plus 5 to all stats. Which is nice, but not particularly noteworthy is the thing. Before I forget, let's put some items on people, of course. Let's see here. Going to be giving ourselves a special band now. And I guess PoliBo can get the defense scarf. It's been so long since I've done anything with these guys, I gotta remember their moves. Okay, yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, evolution. It's not very necessary. Unlike in mainline Pokemon, of course, where you want to just evolve your Pokemon as soon as possible. I'm not even going to explore the floor, I don't think. Let's just continue. You, of course, want to evolve your Pokemon basically whenever possible in mainline for the, you know, stat boost, because base stats are, of course, such a large thing in that game, but it doesn't really matter much in this game, so whether or not a Pokemon wants to evolve in this game is actually based a lot more heavily on other factors, those being, like, for example, their usage if you do a level reset dungeon, which sounds a little bit strange, but there are some pre-evolved forms of Pokemon that actually fare much better in the Zero Isle dungeons than their evolved forms, because they might have better stats at level 1 or, like, better moves at level 1. Another important thing to consider when evolving Pokemon in this game is typing is very important, because I've stressed the importance of stab over super effectiveness very heavily throughout the playthrough many times, and evolving is another point where this ends up being very relevant, because, of course, as some Pokemon evolve, they gain new types, and sometimes those new types they gain, or, like, if they have a type that changes, can actually throw them off a little bit by making them gain or even lose stab in certain areas, which can be pretty bad. What's not pretty bad is Safeguard. Oh, this is a really, really damn good move to have. Now, if somebody already has a status and a Pokemon uses Safeguard, I don't know if it will cure the status. I think we're going to... Let's get rid of Synthesis. Having an HP heal that only affects the user is not very special. Safeguard is going to be very good, though. Okay. But yeah, like I was saying before, just evolution in this game, whether you'd want to do it or not, is based on a lot of different factors. It really depends on the Pokemon. I can say it an example. I did not mean to just attack Kecleon. Thank God we can't actually hit him. Anyway, an example I've seen in a different playthrough of this game I've done is, of course, with Scorpy evolving into Drapion. It's kind of a mixed bag because one of Scorpy's best strengths in this game is access to Pin Missile, which is just a completely broken move, of course. And being a bug-type move, Scorpy gets the stab bonus from Pin Missile. But Drapion actually loses the bug typing and goes from, what did I just say? Jesus. Drapion goes from being poison bug type to poison dark type, which means it actually, I don't actually know if we already have Wormadam or not, but sure, let's recruit her. Anyway, yeah, you actually lose stab on Pin Missile if you evolve into Drapion, meaning you actually deal less damage, because you're no longer getting that stab bonus, and that can be really, really shitty. But the upside to it is a move that you now get stab on is Dark Pulse, which is also a really good move. See, Safeguard conveniently protected us from falling asleep due to that trap, but I also don't need her just spamming it all the time, so let's just turn that off. We gotta quickly check, who do we have in this dungeon? I guess just Wormadam. And, well, I guess now we also have Bagon. How convenient is that? I'm almost certainly not going to be going for all recruits in this playthrough, though, so don't get your hopes up, because that is an absolutely massive time sink, and a little fun fact here. On the side, I'm not recording it, but I actually have a separate save file of this game that for the past few weeks I have been working on getting all recruits for, so I don't really feel like subjecting myself to that absolutely ludicrous grind 2 times at once, you know? So don't expect, you know, don't expect me to be running around trying to get all the unknowns or just doing this other torturous crap. Anyway, let's just move on and try to get to the floor where our mission is at. Ooh, we just got our hands on something nice. We got a Water Pulse TM, and I do not mind teaching that to PoliBo in place of Water Gun. 2 good ranged water attacks, you know, nothing to complain about there, don't mind if I do. I definitely do mind stepping on those, though. Okay, well, I'm still confused. Safeguard didn't get rid of my confusion, unfortunately, but now I can take comfort in the fact that nobody else on the team is going to end up stepping on it, which is nice, I suppose. Let's, keep on moving on. Oh boy. You know, I was just thinking, oh, wouldn't it be so crazy if we ended up getting to a monster house? Nah, we're fighting our way out of this one. Let's see what happens if we mirror move. Well, something that just occurred to me about mirror move is we're not actually getting any XP if we, if an enemy kills themselves with reflected damage, we're not actually getting any XP out of that, which kind of sucks. I'm glad I could take out that Absol in one hit, so I did not end up dealing any recoil to myself, by the way. I probably, well, no, I would have lived, I think, but just barely. Let them all just keep coming for us. They can't really do a whole lot. Mirror move status faded? Nah, just put it right back up. God, I forgot how annoying the Glamiels in this dungeon were. They are very tanky. Although, again, at this point, now that we've gotten so much stronger, I don't actually think pretty much any of the enemies in this dungeon are going to be much of a threat anymore. So these are basically just free EXP, you know, punching bags for us. Mudshot, that's not a very good move. The accuracy is pretty poor, and PoliBo, you know, does not really need a ground type move, if you ask me. I'm not sure if there are really any good ground moves in this game, that I think about it, to be honest. Pretty rare thing. There are staple moves like Earthquake, which, you know, in mainline are, of course, extremely good. But then in PMD, Earthquake is just garbage. Of course, some really good staple ground moves. The main one, of course, Earth Power, which in some of these later dungeons is going to be absolutely horrifying for us to deal with, to be honest. Hopefully, it'll be a while before we end up getting there. Also, that Glalie is protecting itself, which is very annoying, because our allies are not smart enough to not attack into it. Oh, hey. I see Safeguard actually took priority over Mirror... Oh, wait. We don't have Mirror Move anymore, do we? No, I think it wore off. Oh, yeah, it definitely did. Oops, I did not pay very much attention. Let's quickly put that back up. Now my attack is dropped with Charm, and that's pretty annoying. Probably should have just used Ember because that attack dropped. Yeah, our AI allies are not smart enough to not attack into Glalie. Wait a minute, what the... Am I seeing that right? I'm sorry, I zoned out a little bit. What was that? Oh, I see. Glamia used Assist and called Ember. That's kind of funny, actually. He was a real Ember. Never mind, it fucking missed. Well, I look like a dweeb now. Let's move a little further into this room to actually give our allies a chance to get the hell in here and participate in the fight. pretty easy. Again, it's not that impressive that we can clear out a monster house like this, considering this is a dungeon that we, you know, grown a lot stronger. We've grown a lot stronger since we initially came to this dungeon. Let's give this to Grimo, sure. Wait, let's hope there are no other traps in this room. Okay, yeah, we're good. Anyway, just keep on moving on. Oh, hey, another gummy. I'll eat that myself. And I didn't get anything out of it. Well, some things never change, really, but anyway, just keep on moving on towards the goal. Alright. Wait, oh. Did not realize that, but I don't know if you saw it right there, but for a split second, Frostlass was actually following us, which is funny because on the initial run-through, Frostlass is not actually an enemy that appears in this dungeon. It only appears in the post-game, and what's even funnier is I thought Frostlass was not supposed to appear as a Pokemon here until after doing a certain thing in the post-game, but I guess not. Anyway, just beat the crap out of this Tentacool, aka miss our attack for no reason. Thank you for the support, Grimo. It's been too long since we got to get buffs like this. Okay, and well, Toxic Spikes is just a completely useless nothing move in this game. Okay, well, that was unsurprisingly pretty easy, even. It's just clean up these stragglers. Why are you putting me to sleep for? What the hell? Nah, whatever, we're fine. Pretty easy. Again, unsurprisingly, it's pretty easy because the dungeon that we have grown a lot stronger since. I've already said that like 3 times, though. Just grab that gummy and get jumped by another Glameow. Let's just go grab that gummy and just get on out of here. Eradicate looks a little scrunkly here, to be honest. And hey, would you look at that? We ended up getting a grass gummy, so it's okay that we deleted that other, you know, thing we had, the other mission. As you also saw, we got 200 points from that, which is a pretty crazy amount for this point, I want to say. That's definitely something nice. It was a struggle to get to gold rank. It took us nearly the entire like main story to get there, and it required a few days worth of extra grinding. But now that we have access to later dungeons, the ranking of missions is going to start going up very quickly, which means we're going to start getting way more points very quickly. So these next few ranks should actually come fairly quickly. Thank God. Let's just quickly sort out the inventory here. We got a whole bunch of crap, but at this point in the game, all things considered, we're still weak, and so I don't really feel comfortable bringing any less than that. Get rid of this TM. Especially since we're playing Darkness and we don't have access to a whole lot of the really good items. I mean, we can definitely make do with what we have, for sure. That's like, we can definitely do that, but we still gotta work a little bit harder anyway. It's mostly XI Seeds are the ones that are coming in clutch, if you ask me. I was already aware, of course, that XI Seeds are super, super strong as items, but being forced to rely so heavily on them in Darkness because we don't have easy access to other items has, you know, really made me just appreciate their sheer strength and utility. Anyway, though, let's see if we got any more good missions to do today. Let's see, Mystifying Forest. New dungeon discovered, really? Well, let's see what it is. Midnight Forest. We will get fucking destroyed if we go there right now. We will get absolutely destroyed. So it is nice that we have an extra dungeon to explore. There's actually quite a handful of those kinds of dungeons that we're gonna, you know, a lot of these missions where we get to unlock new dungeons, we're probably going to be getting a lot of those soon. Look at that, a 9-star dungeon. That is the maximum mission rank difficulty, by the way, is 9 stars, and you get a whopping 1,500 points out of it. That would be enough to just rank up right now. Of course, we are not even remotely strong enough for Zero Isle North. It is not happening. So, let's take this quite valuable Mystifying Forest mission. It's still a scary dungeon, but we, of course, are going to want to go there because, well, we need the EXP. Actually, we got 2 missions for Brine Cave today, so I think we are going to go there instead. Let's take a look at what we got. Yeah, both of these Brine Cave missions are 300 points, so we will definitely just take both of these, and, well, we will go save the game real quick, and then let's head on out to Brine Cave. Alright, Brine Cave time. It's such a strange feeling going back to certain dungeons like these where, you know, the tension is so high at the point in the story in which you go here, but now, you know, it's like, all the tension is gone, like the story's over, you know, and now we're just free to do pretty much whatever we want, you know, for the time being, anyway. So it certainly feels like, you know, it's a different atmosphere coming back to a place like this. You can even see, we've never checked this before, but there's the mission objectives tab, which, I mean, as the name of the tab implies, it just tells you what you're supposed to be doing in that dungeon run. And for most story dungeons, it's just like, you know, get to the end, but... Wait, I'm not very smart, am I? What am I even talking about? We've seen this tab a billion fucking times. You know what, I'm just gonna cut that whole part in the video. Fuck. Okay, excuse my retardation. We're in Brine Cave now, and... Well, still a very short dungeon. Just go beat up a whole bunch of water types, and hopefully not get soaked to death on the way there, of course. Maybe even get some recruits, although our recruitment rate is still quite low because all things considered, we are very low level still. Which sounds crazy. You might be thinking, what are you talking about? You're level 40, and you've beaten the game. Like, nah, I can assure you, 40 is not a high level. We are still, like, babies. Like, I mentioned this last time, but the post-game is when the gloves really start to come off. Oh boy. And we're not really going to be seeing it until we get access to more of these post-game dungeons, but, like, you know, just take my word. Of course, just like what we just did in Crystal Crossing, this is another run-through dungeon we've already done before, so this is basically just some EXP farming for PoliBo and Dreamo, so they can try to catch up. Ooh, Aurora Beam. I'm not sure if I've mentioned this before. I've definitely mentioned certain moves, like Charm or like Screech, having very debilitating stat drops. I definitely mentioned it at some point now that I think about it. I think I showed it in a subtitle, but Aurora Beam is in fact one of those moves that severely just like nukes your attack stat if you get hit by it. Although, Seal, as you can see, is not a threatening enemy, and, you know, we have Embers, so it's not like we need to use physical attacks anyway. Although it's still annoying when we get cornered by... Okay, well, no, never mind. I forgot how little health Gastrodon has. Anyway, moving on. Oh, shit. Oh my god. Well, that was very, very lucky and unlucky at the same time. My god, we would have just gotten nuked, to death. That rollout hit any more times. And getting crit in the middle of it is kind of ridiculous, but no, we're okay. Hey, Gastrodon wants to join. The superior color of Gastrodon, even. I'm a big fan of pink Gastrodon. The weird blue and green Gastrodon, honestly, not so much. It doesn't do very much for me. And look at all those extra levels we're getting on everybody as well. Very, very nice. We are going to want a whole lot of those coming soon, of course. Anyway, Outlaw number 1, and I think I know how this is going to go. Yep, that's about what I expected at this point. Trying to Metagross in Treasure Town. What the hell would a Metagross need our help for? Jesus Christ. Of course, I suppose we did literally save the world. All those other useless jobbers, you know, couldn't do very much. Alright, time for Outlaw number 2. And it is... Well, it's not very threatening, to be honest. Let's just beat the crap out of it real quick. Yep, about what I expected. And I'm gonna be honest, I want that Gummy so badly. We're not even gonna leave the dungeon, I'm just gonna walk over here. Ooh, Brick Tough, nice. It's not that much for an IQ skill. All it is you just get a permanent plus 10 HP. I believe it's plus 10. Which is, like, honestly not that impactful, but at the same time, it's just a free permanent stat bonus. So, like, you know, of course we're not gonna complain about it. I'm probably gonna start Gummy maxing Moth really hard coming soon here, because... You know, we're going to want to be as strong as we possibly can to survive some of these post-game dungeons. And one of the best ways to do that is, of course, you just get a bunch of extremely overpowered IQ skills that just make the entire rest of the game a breeze. Anyway, let's get the hell out of here and go back to Treasure Town. Metagross is so cool, man. It's honestly one of my favorites. I just wish it wasn't so bad in PMD. It's definitely not very good in PMD. Another Roost TM. They're taunting me with these TMs that I'm not even able to learn. And another Gummy. Great. I mean, that actually is great. We need more. Power Band, no, not so much. We don't really need any more of those. Vanish Seed, outside of a level reset dungeon, is actually just some crap, though. We don't need Vanish Seeds. Anyway, well, productive day of, finally back to doing missions. Feels good. We had a productive day, but that is where we are going to call it. So, we'll see you next time on Explorers of Darkness.